Welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. I'm Rose McNair. Today, I am speaking with Rachel and Alexia from the People's Health Alliance, also known as the PHA, and here in New Zealand, the People's Health Alliance New Zealand. Welcome, Alexia and Rachel. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having us, Rose. It's great.
Hi, Rose. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for taking time out of your really busy schedule and coming along to talk with me here about the People's Health Alliance New Zealand. So I've got to ask this question. How did the People's Health Alliance come to be? And I say People's Health Alliance because that is what I was referred to initially. And so I think you know a little bit more about the history than I do. So can you explain to us about the People's Health Alliance and then, of course, People's Health Alliance New Zealand?
I think we both come into it differently, but at the same time, kind of. So I can explain where I heard about it, which I think is key because it's quite nice hearing people's stories about how they come to hear about the PHA. So I was told about it from a group that I was in that I just happened to be in on a Zoom group in England, and they were talking about this PHA, and I remember they'd posted a Zoom link to a guy who was going to do a discussion. So I met a guy called James introduced the PHA before I discovered Catherine. So he was talking about how he'd started it in England and about how he just said, okay, I need you to help me to give you your health back. And that was the start of, oh my gosh, we need this. This is brilliant. Yes. And then I come across Catherine later in an interview that she did with Pam Gregory. And is that where you come across the PHA, Alexia?
Yeah, that's right. It was, I was watching Pam Gregory, who I follow, the astrologer, and I just heard Catherine McBean, who is a wonderful personality and extrovert, just speaking of it so beautifully. And she is the founder, along with two others and a small team of helpers. She'd been working closely with sort of top level, all the people that we've heard about throughout this this whole time of the COVID narrative.
Yes.
So she decided, okay, let's do this. The People's Health Alliance, a grassroots organization to bring together all the health practitioners. She foresaw, the writing on the cards to help the NHS and here in New Zealand, our health system going to crash. They haven't got the resources to keep it going. There was ridiculous rules and regulations that was keeping good people out of the system. So she said, right, we'll just create the new. We don't need to bother with what they're doing. We'll create a new and make it a truly holistic health system. So by the people, for the people.
Yes.
So I heard this on Pam Gregory, and the same night I emailed Lisa Dunnington, who was the contact. She's the co-founder, and next day Telegram group, and New Zealand was away. Found Rachel through Lisa told me, oh, Rachel has also emailed to contact her, and yeah, we were partners in this wonderful vision straight away.
Great. That's such a good way to have come to this, because I'll just say this is how I heard about the People's Health Alliance as well, through Pam Gregory. I listened to Pam Gregory's astrology, and she was talking about having gone over to a farming community that Catherine McBean had been a part of, and that they were growing all these amazing vegetables, and this food was just looking so good, and I thought, oh my gosh, we need something like that. We need to have people eating well and people eating healthy food, knowing what's going into the food. My passion is really about clean eating, and so that was like where I thought I've got to go and find out about the People's Health Alliance. And I did. In fact, I emailed them as well, and I looked for New Zealand, and at the time I couldn't find it. And then just about 6 weeks ago, there was Natalie, or not even 6 weeks, maybe less than that, Natalie coming in to talk to me on radio, and then she was talking about the People's Health Alliance. we hadn't had much of a chance to talk prior to the radio interview. And then when she came in and she was talking about PHA and explaining everything, and I thought, wait a minute. Yeah, that's it. That's what I've been looking for all this time. It was really interesting because they said already Pam Gregory was saying that it had expanded it into what at that time just under 30 countries or something like that, right? And so now we know that it's expanded to 31 countries. So it's really gone viral, so to speak of.
Yeah.
I think the time.
It was wonderful. It grew very quickly here. At the same time, there's a wonderful woman in Wellington, Ruth Copeland, who was developing an app to also connect people. She was the contact for Natalie, and then Natalie, of course, is a super connector. So things did spread like wildfire.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I kind of was amazed. I spoke to Ruth last week, and I was amazed at Ruth's app that she created. And I thought I would have loved to know about that app in 2021. You know, because it was 2021 was a bit of a hair raiser for us here in New Zealand. And so, you know, we had got over the romance of romanticizing the first lockdown, and there you go, we had 2021, and it's a year that many people would have preferred not to have had. But anyway, we digress.
Ruths Residence App was brilliant, but also Natalie. So Natalie, if for those people that don't know, because we're just talking about Natalie, is she Go Girl or Super?
She's the go-to girl.
The go-to girl.
The go-to girl.
Yes. Natalie's also just set up a hub in her area, so that's exciting as well, that it's come full circle for Natalie.
That's right, really good. So did you want to say something, Ruth? Would you want to add something to that? Why am I saying Ruth? Mistake. Alexia, did you want to add something to that?
No, that's good. Go on. We started the Telegram group, and it's all based actually through Telegram.
Yes.
Initially, the website in England was up and running, and they were quickly just sort of also using Telegram for their hubs around the country. The international ones joined in, and yeah, we spread like that because we found a lot of people were using Telegram at that stage until we worked hard and managed to finally set up our own website. So that's another point of contact now.
That's great. So before I ask the next question, for the benefit of our audience, can you give us the web address so that people can already have it in their minds? We will reiterate at the end, but if you could give us the website address, that'll be good.
Yep, it's the-pha.nz.
Easy.
We just want to acknowledge as well that Telegram is quite challenging for a lot of people, and I think that's why people haven't found us as easily, because we don't have it's just a word of mouth. We're spreading through other groups that are on Telegram, and as people come and find us, then they spread again far and wide. So it's just mainly me and Alexia, so we've realized that there's only so many hours in the day. But yes, that the website has helped because it means that it gives a lot more people a lot more information. Right. They can email us. They don't need to, you know, if you're not on Telegram, you can't find us unless somebody points us out and say, hey, we're here. But Telegram has had its advantages because it's just meant that we can share things quite quickly.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a very quick way of sharing things. So would you be looking to get somebody to help you? Is there somebody that could help you with that?
We've got some helpers come on board that are really helping us, that we're really grateful for. So the guy that helped us do the website, he's been amazing. We've got some people that we rely on for Canva flyers. And again, it's just extending. We are extending, aren't we, Alexia? It's just that
we have some very
yes.
Which is a good sign. It's a good sign that we're busy. So
yes, it's a good sign, but also we must also acknowledge that time is of essence, because this planet is based on a time scale, isn't it? I want to go back. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, well, that's what's interesting as well, because the PHA has come along at a time where you have people that have been aware of what is happening or was going to happen for a long time. For me, it's only been 3 years. For some people, they're only just waking up to it. And I think that's why well, I know that's why the People's Health Alliance is important, because we are empowering communities to take back a little bit more control, to take it back themselves, and to kind of bring those people together in the community, your alternative therapists, your allopathics. So we want a more integrated system, but we want to be able to choose. And that's what's key about PHA, is that you get the communities behind this initiative, and we're teaching communities to empower themselves and to have lots of options. So we don't want, you know, a one top-down approach to say, if you have diabetes, for example, they're just, you know, if you go to a GP, they'll look it up on the computer and it's like, oh, you take this medication and this medication. We want to be able to explore what we have and educate the community on who is in their community and the other options that may be more effective. It's about letting people choose. You know, if all three of us go to have an issue, it might be the same issue, but we all want help in different ways, and we know what works for us and we know what doesn't, but we don't want one person to tell all three of us the one way to treat something. We actually know our bodies way better than somebody else who's sat in front of a computer screen. I know that the GPs do lots of education and they're well trained, but at the end of the day, the computer tells them what to administer. So it's about...
And the medical council.
And the medical council, yeah. So
Yes.
their hands are tied too. They do all this training and then they can't think for themselves almost. So this is a way of protecting what is in the communities and honouring and exploring and educating. And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
We found there was an urgency too, because so many of us had been sort of excommunicated from regular medical routes for our health. We were just sort of left in a empty black hole. So people needed to quickly be able to find alternatives. And many didn't want to go back, even when they were allowed into the community again. People didn't want to go back into that system, and they realized, no, there's a better way. And so we needed to actually make a group, hubs of practitioners, just so many practitioners and therapists and all sorts of health workers in the community. We needed to get them together quite quickly, actually, and set up this new system as a good framework for in the event of a complete collapse.
Yes, yes, I do understand that, because I'm also one of those people that was not allowed down any mainstream for a period of time. But I think I was reading a little bit about your history, Rachel. You also sort of started going in the direction of holistic due to food allergies and things like that in your life personally. And that didn't happen just in the last few years. It's been for a while. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's why this makes sense to me, because I know that the medical system as it is over the years hasn't helped with the symptoms that I've had. They've not been able to help me and move me on. Whereas when I started exploring alternative therapies, I was amazed at how better I felt. And now I come from a family where, you know, most of my mum, my aunties, my uncles are nurses. So I grew up with the NHS, and I know that the NHS in England is amazing, but I also know that the treatment of the nurses and the way that they've been held back to treat the way that they think that they should treat, you know, especially the older nurses, because they've had their education in cottage hospitals. And over the years, this top management heavy system has come in and they're told how they need to treat or not to treat. Yeah, so that was I have a wide range of experience, which made me think, I just knew that we just needed other options because the current system isn't working. And again, the People's Health Alliance helps people. It's like a parallel system. So because we see the amount of stress that the system that we know, this health system is under, that can't be maintained at the current rate. So we need these other systems. And now's the time to educate and encourage people to try them and see actually, oh my gosh, that acupuncture session did work well, or me adjusting my diet has taken away my migraines and given me more energy.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's got value. the thing is, it's got equal value. That's what has changed over the years. You know, I was reading something about in 1913 when it was decided to go more with the clinical rather than the what was deemed alternative. But they can complement each other. They don't have to be one is better than the other or all of that, right? And I think this is what we're moving more towards, because even with me, I have a condition where it's a chronic condition, and I'm supposed to have medicine that's coming into the disease modification drugs category. And what it actually does is the side effects are worse than the actual relief it's supposed to give me. And I won't have that because I've seen what it does to other people, and I have a sister who's got the same chronic condition, and I know what it's done to her, and I know that I don't want to do that. But if I go and have some acupuncture, or if I go and have like a Thai yoga massage, I know that I feel so energized, and I feel so much pain-free. So, you know, it can work.
Yeah, and it's great that you have that choice. And we don't want those choices taken away, because you know what works for you.
That's right. It's
I know
quite
what
realistic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, if I need to take the Nurofen now, then I'll take the Nurofen. I'm not saying that's not good either, but I'm just saying I should be allowed to have the choice, like you're saying. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Alexia?
Yeah, and we want to go to allopathic practitioners that don't denigrate, you know, alternative or complementary. They see the value and the combined value. There's a lot of integrative functional medicine doctors and nurses out there, so they have now, it's basically, you know, developed a lot of momentum in other countries, and it's coming here where, you know, those are the practitioners we want to go see that actually value the whole, and they value the person in front of them knowing their own body best, better than anybody else. So it's about respect and value, and I think that's the PHA values as well, as to respect the people's choice.
Great. So now I'm going to ask this question in a nutshell. Basic question, and basic. I'm hoping for an absolute ordinary basic answer. And I say that because I am coming from the perspective of, if somebody who did not know anything about this wanted to know what is the PHA, what would you say to them? You know, if an 11-year-old came to you and said, hey, so what is this PHA that you're speaking about? What would you say in ordinary terms is the PHA?
You go.
Well, I'll go to an 11-year-old, an alliance, and it's an alliance of health practitioners. It's grassroots, and it's growing very organically and naturally as a kind of mycelium of health that we all can connect into, we can benefit from. So it's just a health alliance for the people.
Great. And right, you want to add to that, Rachel?
Yes, I would say that the People's Health Alliance is individual, depending on which community you are in, because ultimately it's like Alexia says, it's by the people for the people. So whoever was within your community, if the community supports those practitioners by finding a space where everybody can work from, and I ultimately see that space growing. So you've got community involvement within this space as well, not just your health practitioners, but you are nurturing and supporting those who are already in your community, who can therefore offer you treatments back at an affordable price. Therefore, we can all maintain our health.
Yes.
So that's what it's all about: community initiatives, unity, coming together.
That's a good point, Rachel. It's also affordable, because we're not corporate. We're not corporate in any way. We're not in health to make money. We're in health for wellness, for people to feel good about themselves and their place on this planet.
So if I was a practitioner of some sort and I wanted to join the People's Health Alliance as a practitioner to offer my service, how do I go about doing that?
There's a number of ways. So first of all, there's the Telegram channel. I know we said that some people don't like Telegram, but it is a really good place to be. We have the PHA New Zealand, the main group. Now, if you join there and you introduce yourself and say where you are, it means that anybody else who comes along can find you by searching for, say, acupuncturist Christchurch. It really helps people to find you, and it also helps people who are already on the page to go, oh, she's in our area or he's in our area, let's contact them, and they can, because we're talking about forming a hub or we already have a hub. So I'd say the first protocol is the main page, and then you've got individual hubs already that are up and running, and you can find that information on the main page, or you can go to the website, which there's a specific page for hubs, and you can click on the one that's nearest to you.
Right.
And if isn't one close by, then ask in the main page, hey, I'm in this area, who wants to start? And just start talking.
Yes, yes. So
it's so much about communicating.
Yes, very important.
And sharing yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so,
starting slowly as well, isn't it, Alexia? It's about people coming together within their groups and their hubs and communicating with each other, and starting with fundraising events that can help educate the people at the same time, educate their community and bring their community together, because it's all about, hey, we all come together, what is it we need, what is it we want?
Yes.
And getting to know each other, and just grow slowly and find the spaces that you need to practice from. It might be online to start with, it might just be from your hub.
Yeah, very good. So you say hub. So I'm picturing, if it's a hub, well, I don't want to picture, I don't want to say what I'm picturing. I'd like you to tell me what a hub is. What is it physically, in the physical sense of it? It's a hub, right? So tell me.
Initially, it's a virtual space,
okay.
A sort of a landing page online.
Yes.
Then, of course, when people start to connect, connections are made, they meet face to face, then hopefully physical hubs are popping up, which they are doing across the country. And then, of course, it depends on fundraising to keep this going. But initially when we say hub, it is a virtual space, which is also very, very good, because that's the way of making connections, and really is all about connecting.
Great. You want to say, add to that, Rachel, before I ask what's popped into my head next, because they keep coming. The questions
keep coming. No, I think that's a good summary. And
yeah.
And the other thing is, what the reason that it's community behind these hubs and the community come together, because many people in the community are desperate for this to happen as well. So then you have members of the community who have spaces that they want to either donate or lease at a really low cost rent to get these initiatives off the ground. So that's why it's key for the community to be a part of this, because you never know where connections are made.
Yes, indeed. So I'm imagining that a hub is normally where people starting off, for example, Central East Auckland, people get together, as in they saying hello on the Telegram channel. And I'm talking about my live experience now, so that it is pieced out quite simply for anybody who's listening to it. So people get together, you introduce yourself on Telegram and say, okay, this is who I am and this is what I do. And I've noticed people, like, I don't offer health service, like I'm not a practitioner doing acupuncture or something like that, but I introduced myself there because I was like, oh gosh, these people can't keep me away from this, because they're really speaking my language, and I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to offer what I offer to everybody, and that is, okay, I have a radio show, you can talk to me about your offering on the radio, and then I've started this YouTube channel, and you can come and talk to me about your offering, so we can create awareness of what you're offering to the communities. So, and, to the country, to the public, to the planet, whatever. So that's how I put myself there. So, and then because I'm out East Auckland, I came under the group, of the Central East Auckland Telegram group. So I got invited into that, and that was great. And so they're starting to set up, they've just met, they've had you guys appear there to talk with everybody. They're starting their Zoom meeting hub, so to speak of, right? So that is what we mean when you meet virtually. So there's going to be a regular time or that everybody agrees on. They will meet online and they'll have a chat. They will just connect about things, give updates, share information. That's my understanding of that virtual hub. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And that progresses also in Central East Auckland. They've had meetings at a local cafe.
Yes.
And always the when firm connections are made face to face, nothing beats that. So we encourage that in the early days, and then people can really share more deeply of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we come to the part of where you now have a hub set up physically, and people are either, they've got a space where that's been donated to them, or maybe they're going to pay a small amount of rental. And then you have all these practitioners in the local area that get together, they share the space, and they do their offerings to the community. And of course, at a reasonable price. So that means we have a physical space. Then when we get to that point, we have a physical space, and we've got all our practitioners sharing it, that's local. And so that means people can contact them, make appointments, they can set up the appointment to meet that person to offer the service at the hub at whatever time that they can, whatever time works for both parties. Okay, so I understand that correctly?
Yeah, and it's about, different things will work for different people.
Yeah, great. So I took us through this process because I am just making sure that it is very, very understandable for everyone. I'm not saying that we don't explain it, but sometimes I've just found that many people want to really understand the grassroots of what that means, and they want to understand it in ordinary terms. So thank you for that. And thank you for your patience with that, because I like having things explained that way.
So I could continue that picture for you, and this might be helpful for those people who are watching and asking. So if you imagine your hub comes together, your hub is the community space that holds the practitioners. Each of the practitioners are all independent of that hub, so that they don't need to worry about the running costs of the hub or anything else, because the community and all those people are going to come together and be a part of that setting up is ideally what we want. So that means it's easier for the practitioners. They just come in and they just either use a space or rent a space from the hub, so that each person can take care of their own finances and books.
Yes.
So that's simple as well.
Yes.
So each practitioner can decide how often they want to work in that hub, and therefore book a room accordingly. So that's how the running of the hub works. So if we get the community involved and we keep the costs down, we have fundraising and we try and keep those costs lower, it just has a knock-on effect to the practitioners.
Right.
And the other key thing is, it's really, really helpful, we're finding, is to have 3 to 5 people who are your kind of core team of the hub, or who can drive the hub moving forward. Because there is, you've got to think about, how do you fundraise, how do you market, how do you reach more people? We've got groups where the hub leads, when you do set up a hub, there's a hub lead group, and that's really interesting because people really help themselves, help each other out, because we're figuring this out. How do we do it this way? Because we don't have a budget for billboards or marketing or advertising, but to meet our community, we go out into the community. So we might pick an event that would be, we think, okay, there are going to be people there who are really going to benefit from the PHA and would like to know about the PHA. So it starts with just printing some flyers and going out and bringing more people in.
Yes.
And expanding.
And they don't have to be health practitioners. We would love, all sorts of people from the community, builders, handymen, admin people, tech people. They all have a role to play, and in fact are really the nuts and bolts of a hub to set up in a physical space.
That was going to be my next question, so thank you for that, Alexia, because I just thought, well, yes, we talked about health practitioners, but I've noticed people offering services outside of that, in the group, and talking about stuff that, so it's more like, especially we're talking about vegetables, growing and planting, and teaching people how to do sustainable living. I guess it takes it away. It's related to health, but it's another facet of health, isn't it? So it's good to know that if you're a plumber, you want to join the People's Health Alliance New Zealand and offer your service in that hub that is the area that you're in, then you can do that, and it's all, it's great.
Well, it's everyone. It's all the community come in and use that space, and then they can use that space to ask questions. Hey, I've got this. What do people recommend? What works for other people?
Yeah.
It's about,
and of course, food, you mentioned food is the crux of health. Most medicines actually derive
Yes.
from nature and from plant source. So people who can grow things, people who know the basics of our well-being, health, are very, very much valued. And that's how the People's Food and Farming Alliance came into being as well, because it's obviously seen as a adjunct and, you know, completely inextricable
Yes, indeed.
from People's Health Alliance.
Yeah. I'm currently doing some inquiries with people about that for our area, for Central East Auckland. We're looking for people who are, you know, can teach us how to grow responsibly. I know that's sounds very strict to say responsibly, but also grow the right things, grow things in a way that is making it organic, making it good for the food, good for the soil, good for, you know, for the people, obviously. So yeah, I'm very quite fascinated with that whole idea.
So, and the other thing is to remind as well, so that the PHA, the Health Hub, is almost just the start of a bigger, wider community.
Yes.
So, you know, like Alexia said, you've got the People's Food and Farming Alliance. You know, if we connect with our local farmers and purchase directly for them, again, we're getting not only more nutrient dense food and fresher food, we're getting it at an affordable price.
Yes.
And we're in direct discussion with the farmers. So whenever he's got a project, maybe we can help him with a project, because therefore we're going to be able to expand
that's right,
the range of vegetables on offer. It becomes more of a community initiative. And you know, it's teaching people as we do this how to communicate differently, and where does that communication lead to, that it kind of empowers us to take, you know, what do we want in our communities, what do we want more of, what do we want less of, and we get to create that, and we're coming together and having those discussions, and it's whoever is in the community come in. It's not about let's just pick those people here because that would make a good combination. We just bring it all in. Who's there? What do people need? And then what, you know, where does this stop? Like ultimately, when I imagine a hub, eventually, you know, okay, we might do a pop-up hub where we've got 5 rooms or one big room where everybody treats in, but ultimately I see a big space with community spaces, large community spaces where we can have community gatherings, where you've got outdoor areas where you can grow your vegetables and plant your trees. So you've got some food locally, and we can get involved with that, and we can learn about food and how to grow really nutritious food.
Yes.
How to grow it in a way that helps the plants thrive and us thrive without all of these chemicals and things that are added to it. And it teaches our, you know, it brings generations together within the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, usually it's the elders that can afford to donate the time to help run these projects, and then you've got your youth coming through who are learning from the elders and learning about the importance of food and nutrition as well as health. And then education, you know, PHA, the team in England are already in discussion with people about education. You know, how do we improve that? Because at the moment, there are many parents within the community who are really disillusioned with some of the things that are being taught at schools, and need to be empowered and need to be able to say, hey, you know, I'm loving this and loving this, but I really don't agree with that, and that's not okay.
Yes.
And their voices should be heard, because ultimately they're our children.
Yes,
and that's
indeed.
why having a social space in the hubs, you know, where people can just meet, have a coffee, or just gather to talk, because there's so many other issues that connect in, and we just need to I mean, it's just nice, and it's the crux of our humanity, is to connect and share, break bread with each other.
I really love the idea of this freedom of speech, expression, without feeling you know, threatened, or not threatened so much, without feeling uncomfortable to express and to share the thoughts. Because, you know, as a parent myself, you know, I know that if I felt uneasy about something, I want, especially when it comes to, well, especially about my whole life, but when it comes to my child, there's a different level of speciality with that. And so I think it's nice to be able to express that without feeling like you are going to be treated like an outcast or something, because, you know, you question something and, oh no, don't you dare question that. But it's your child.
It's lovely to be
in
our tribe with that, to have the backup, to have to find like-minded people, basically, is a great support and comfort to us.
That's
So,
yeah, that's really good. That's really good to hear that, we have this kind of, that is our philosophy really, isn't it? And that we, the like-mindedness, this is something that's becoming quite a thing, to be around people who are like-minded, and I think the last 3 years, is, if anything, has taught us that sometimes even family is not like-minded. And then, we really got challenged with the guts of things, right? Our hearts were really challenged, and our integrity was really challenged, in terms of, will you dob somebody in, or will you, mothers weren't seeing their grown-up children because they had disagreements with whatever was going on. And so I think we've really got to where the rubber meets the road in terms of this, being true to self.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to ask the next question, and then you've touched on the People's Food and Farming Alliance, and you can tell I like to eat because I'm pretty passionate about that. I'm passionate about all the other things too. But one question I had come into my mind when you were talking about, so we're talking about education. Sure, talking about education, that people that the People's Health Alliance New Zealand is like looking at in a way that perhaps this is an area we need to look at. Have you got teachers that are part of the People's Health Alliance? Do you know of anybody who's a teacher that's joined it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. On the main group, we've had people saying they're teachers, early childhood teachers. We have just, and people who aren't necessarily qualified in the system, but who are ready and able and willing to people who unschool their children, homeschool their children.
Yes.
And would also like to be under, collaborating with their people.
Yeah, that's right, because it's important. Like that was what I was thinking about homeschooling. Like, if you can homeschool your children, then I know somebody who was doing homeschooling her children, and in the end started to, had a little school operating out of a house, because her children had things like dyslexia, and the main, and this was way, this was like 10, 15 years ago, where the mainstream was not meeting the needs of a child's individual needs, and she needed to adjust to that. And then other parents got wind of her doing that and said, can you teach my child, because they're really struggling, because they have certain issues like dyslexia and things like that, and they're really struggling in school. And so she had this little school, and she was doing it already then. And so I think this is a great initiative. And of course, I know that Rachel, you might have been speaking to Carol Bird and Sophia Cohen, or one of them, with regards to their Starseeds Wisdom School, and their intention with it was to bring in things like, to teach children, to add to the curriculum, and teaching them about working with crystals, healing with crystals, doing meditation, doing yoga, doing all those things. And that's again bringing back into the mainstream of things, the other side, the esoteric, which has been totally ignored by the mainstream, and said, oh, you did those things, that's all like, hairy flary. So they actually created a curriculum like that, which I thought was pretty awesome, because I think we should teach astrology and numerology and dealing with crystals to our children, because I wish I'd known about it when I was younger, rather than when I did get to know about it, because life would have been would have gone very differently.
Yeah, and I think we definitely need that balance there, because the balance is all out of whack.
That's right.
The way that I see it anyway. And to bring that in, and just be able to excuse me, as we learn about those things, we learn more about ourselves. It shouldn't all be about sitting down and writing things and regurgitating facts. We really need a more holistic education with a lot more options in there.
Yeah, and I think kids would find school a lot more fun if it became like that. It'd be a lot more responsive to the individual creativity of each person, each child. Yeah.
Well, it's when you know yourself more, and you creative projects really open up the other part of their brain, or exploring, like you say, learning about crystals or meditating and yoga and all these other things. They're learning about themselves and their bodies, and they're learning to listen.
Yeah.
Which is key, because you know, at the moment that would just counteract a lot of the issues that we are seeing with our kids who are leaving school at the moment, with anxiety, depression, and insecurities, and not sure of who they are or what they are. And you know, we want them to try all these things and experiment and play and learn.
That's part of the new earth, you know, the new paradigm that's coming in thick and fast now, where, you know, the old patriarchal hierarchical system that kids are still being basically taught in schools is on the out, and we need to, I mean, things like the Starseed School is part of bringing back that balance and allowing children to express their innate creativity, their you know, what they came in with, so they don't forget it the minute they attend school. And it's drummed out of the old style school.
That's right. I feel like we've come for this time and space. We've come here to start the new systems, to build. I'm not going to say rebuild, but in some ways, I mean, if we are reincarnated Atlanteans, then we are rebuilding what we're finishing what we started in Atlantis. But I mean, many of us come from various places. That's my belief, and I'm sorry, I do bring in the galactics sometimes, and I've had people look at me like I'm a strange person, but I am very into the galactics. But I feel like listening to this and thinking about how expansive this is, and so many things happening here, the rebuild of planet Earth at this point is a vast project, right? And it's a lot of things. And just when you think we're going to stick to this, not that you were thinking you were going to stick to the one thing or whatever, other things are happening. People are coming up with other ideas, and you realize actually it's got to go beyond that, what we thought was that portfolio of things we were going to do, right? Yeah.
And that's what's exciting. I don't know whether Alexia's found the same thing. That's what's exciting about you start the PHA. Well, you start this journey, for me, you start this journey of suddenly you start waking up to everything, and then you learn more, and you learn about all of the other, you know, down the rabbit holes, and it all sits comfortably with you. But what is amazing about the PHA, which has blown me away, is the amount of amazing people already out there doing something similar, or already planning these projects, and it's almost like the PHA, you can just see that we're eventually, it's all just going to merge and just going to be, it's just going to be.
That's it. I like that. Yeah.
And that's what I love, is all the healers, and it's just blown me away.
It's one of the initial things that attracted me to the PHA is the openness. Everything is open source. We collaborate with everybody on the same page. Doesn't matter what they call themselves, or if they're a different, you know, already been going or starting new. We'll always have open doors to work with.
Yes.
And it's just like an open source program.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Vision, yeah.
So,
and greeting people where they're at, you know, which we were in this day, that there's a variety. There are people who are eyes wide open, know what's happening, okay, I'm here. And then there are people who are still kind of like, just kind of realizing, something's not right, I don't trust this, okay, I need an alternative health practitioner because I really don't want to go. It's about meeting people where they're at and letting them be where they're at. We don't need to wake them up any faster. We just need to take people in where are they at. Let's see how we bring them in and work as a community.
Yeah.
And that's the other wonderful thing.
So one question I have, because I know that we've had a lot of time together so far, and I'm conscious that you have lots of things happening, but so we will finish quite soon, is, you know, how people are going to be charging for their services. Is there like do you have a quota or something that you would say you can't charge beyond a certain amount of money? We're not putting rules like that on people, right? We're not like restricting them. Great. Yeah. So it's very heart-based, isn't it? This whole project is very heart-based.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it.
Responding heart to heart to in both ways, both directions.
Yeah, and long may it continue, and then it's going to continue because this was part of the plan for this, for all of us and for the planet. So, well, it started, and people coming will also grab that infectious love platform and say, well, yeah, this is what do I want to do for my people, because we're all part of each other. It's like, what do I want to offer to my people? When I say my people, I don't mean like I'm the leader or anything, but I feel like the people that come to me are my people. The people I gravitate to are my people. They're my people. I'm their people, So yeah, we'll be fair. We'll charge the right amount of money, Anyway, in future, we may be exchanging things. We may not necessarily be exchanging money.
Exactly. And that's what we encourage, that we understand we've got one foot in one system, but we're creating another. So we head toward this other, but on the way, it's like you need a foot in both. You still need to charge some money, but it's more of, okay, what do we need in our community? Let's create what we need. And what does that look like? And you're right. Does it need to be money? Do we swap time, or is there a bartering system or another way of paying? And we all the hubs, we encourage them to play and see what's there and try some things out.
Yeah.
It might be that somebody that wants to look after the gardens and look after the hub maybe earn some points that then can be redeemed against treatments should they need it.
That's right.
So many different ways of doing this.
There is so many, and it didn't have to only be that ching exchange. Oh, yeah, I don't know where that came from, but okay. I could hear it in my head. In my head, I was like, oh, ching ching. Okay. Right. So is there anything else that we have not asked, or I have not asked, that you feel you would like to share with everybody listening and watching?
I think, as you touched on before, you were saying we're all coming into a more holistic sense of ourselves and deeper sense of ourselves, and what that means to walk really in integrity. And that, of course, then brings up that you act on it. So it's a self-responsibility. We realize we've been so much spoon-fed in the old ways and the old systems with nanny state. So we've sort of forgotten what it means. Okay, actually, I like this, so I'm going to action it. I'm going to do it. So it's that self-responsibility we really need to encourage, that people have an idea and then they go, okay, how can I do that? They collaborate and talk about it with other people.
Yeah.
But it's not left, okay, someone else will do that.
Yes.
No longer that. We need, Catherine McBean, the founder, has a new podcast called All Hands on Deck, and that is summarizing it beautifully. It's a time for all hands on deck and everybody walking their truth quite clearly. So check that out. It's on Spotify, her beautiful podcast.
Okay. I watched a couple of weeks ago, I didn't know about this one that you mentioned now, but I watched the one she just did with Pam Gregory a few weeks ago. So I'm going to just say this for the benefit of anybody listening and watching. This is not something we do where we are looking for someone else to lead the way and do the thing. We are the leaders of this. All of us are the ones who I've got the creativity, we've got the dream, we are going to action it. And it's for us, for our benefit, for the self, but it's also for offering something. It becomes inadvertently offering it to the collective. So it's it's such a good model of how things are to be. For want of a better word, I know model seems like, oh my gosh, very third dimensional, but it's a good model of an expression, or it's a good expression of the way forward. It's really showing the way forward, isn't it? The whole idea of the way the PHA functions. So I love it. Yeah.
And that's what we do. We help guide. There are things there that information that people in hubs can take away, so we can help guide and advise, but we don't tell you what to do, because ultimately it's the community coming together. And the other beautiful thing that I just want to touch on that we haven't talked about is when the PHA says it's about educating communities and individuals, there's some amazing Zooms, some amazing people who are hosting Zooms and talking about what they do. we've got Wellness Wednesdays and Shine a Light, and we've got those in England, but we've also joined forces with Australia, so that every Wednesday, alternate Wednesdays, we'll have a Wellness Wednesday or Shine a Light, where we are learning more about the people within our community here and in Australia, and learning more about other modalities and how we can take things away to use in our daily life. And that's wonderful. That's kind of completely underestimated, and we don't talk about that enough, but it's amazing. It's just really good for people to look that up.
Yeah, I think that's
very
awesome.
important.
Yeah.
Very important part of the PHA is to education too, and raising awareness around what's out there. So we facilitate, educate. Yeah.
Great. I really like that. It seems like the borders are no longer there of countries, because, we're now integrating, aren't we? It's a virtual integration, but it's something that I'm learning more and more. It doesn't matter which country you are in. It's about what are we doing for each other? How are we benefiting to each other? And us coming together, we will learn from each other, because we all are coming together. We're an amazing force to be reckoned with, for want of better words, because we have so much knowledge as people on this planet, and we have so much that together we can create and just live life, not worry about the rest, really. In terms of, when I say not worry about the rest, I mean not worry about those things that are meant to bring us down, that stuff that we know that is not going to be good for the health of the mind or the body or its sovereignty. So yeah,
it's time to stand up and own it.
Exactly.
And a lot of us know that it's there. Like, we know it's there. We know that there's a better way, that many of us do. And that's the beauty of the PHA as well, because you're communicating with people, around the world, and with different Zooms and different conversations. It's reinforcing that intuition and creating that determination and empowering people to go, actually, yes, we know this, we've got this. And people go out and do it. It's about strength in numbers, even though we're individual hubs. There's strength in numbers.
Yes. And so the last I heard, the PHA have got are available, or have got a presence in 31 countries. And how old is it? Rachel, how old is the PHA? About 2 years old? 2-3 years old?
Not even. So if only officially launched last April.
Oh, really?
It's we've got the year birthday.
1 year celebration is coming up in April. That will be
yes. I'm sorry, I did see the 1 year celebration.
In New Zealand,
I did see the celebration.
July.
July in New Zealand, right? I did see a celebration, but I didn't read the whole thing to realize it was only 1 year, because I kept thinking they must have started in 2020. I suppose, I don't know why I had this idea that they started in 2020, but okay. Wow, 31 countries in that time. But it's also saying, it's not like the old model that you have to give it 18 months. If you start a business, you had to give it 18 months to 3 years to see any kind of profit. It's not that model, is it? It's not like that anymore. And it's clearly gone viral because, well, so many people resonate with it.
Yeah, because we can see this is what's needed. It's always been needed. We've never had enough as we have now. Like, we've always complained and been frustrated and always known that there was a better way. But for me, growing up, even as a kid, I was like, there's got to be a better way. This isn't working. I don't get this. I don't understand this. But never did I think that it could be the people that create that better way, because we're taught that someone else will do it and then it'll be there for us. Where actually, no, we know what's needed and we can do it.
Exactly. So I think what I have to say is, at this point, is that we are coming to the conclusion of our time together. So is there anything more you want to say before I get you to reiterate where to contact you, or where to contact the PHA in New Zealand?
The best way is our website, and that will have a link to the main Telegram group, and then there's a really fantastically designed map that you can just click on the icons. It's very easy, and it's quite a simple website. _PHA.NZ.
No, it's not underscore, it's dash. Remember, it's
dash.
not
Okay.
The dash PHA.NZ.
.nz, yeah. And
Great.
then we've also got the Rumble channel, which Rumble, we put the key videos. And then once you find the main Telegram group, we will also help you find the main Telegram notices group, because that makes life a lot easier, because we encourage introduction in the main Telegram group, because we like people to go, hey, I'm from here and I do this and I want to be a part of this because, but then the notices we then post in one official channel, so you can find what you need really easily as well.
Great. I will also put all of those in the description box, the links and the website and all of that, so that everyone has access to it. And so, yeah, really looking forward to having you back here. Please feel free. If you want to market anything via YouTube, please feel free to use this opportunity or this channel, because that's what it's here for. I am so pleased and I'm so excited to be a part of this community. So thank you so much for stepping up, ladies. It's just awesome that you did. And, you know, stepping up to say, look, we'll start this. We'll start the narrative. We will start the organization of it here. And yeah, it's going to lead to so many other things.
Oh, it's awesome. Thank you. Really enjoyed this. So thanks for having us. It's been good to talk about it again.
Yeah,
great.
Brilliant.
Wonderful.
You're a vital piece in the cog in this whole
I'm
vision.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. And you know, I hope that you will get on board and look up the PHA New Zealand, and remember that if you have anything that you want to share with the community that you think is of benefit, you can do it via this channel. All right, so I'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining me on the Great Awakening Generator. I'm your host, Rose McNair. Goodbye. Bye, everyone.